Most people think a full pantry means they're prepared for an emergency. It doesn't, and there's one specific reason why. Almost everything in the average kitchen needs heat to become food. Heat needs electricity, gas, or running water. The exact things disasters take out first. These 12 foods don't need any of it. No cooking, no electricity, no equipment. Open them and eat. All at your regular grocery store, most just a couple of dollars, and most people building stockpiles right now aren't buying a single one. We're counting down all 12. Number 1 is probably already in your house, but there's a reason it tops this list most people have never thought about. That reason matters more than you'd expect. Let's get into it. Number 12. MREs, ready-to-eat packaged meals. Starting at the bottom, but don't mistake that for least important. Number 12 sets the standard everything else on this list gets measured against. MREs are built specifically for moments when preparation isn't possible. Protein, fat, and carbohydrates balanced in one sealed package. Engineered to survive rough handling and temperature swings. You open them and eat. That's it. Nothing else required. But here's the catch most people don't think through. MREs aren't cheap. And because of that, people either skip them entirely or grab 2 or 3 and assume they're covered. Neither approach works. MREs are not the foundation of your stockpile. They're the safety net, the thing you reach for when everything else has already run out, and the situation is lasting longer than you planned. That's when they earn every dollar. Think of number 12 as the last resort. Every item below it on this list is what keeps you from needing it too soon. And number 11 is one most people completely overlook, even though it might be the most versatile thing in their entire kitchen. Number 11. Tortillas. Most people default to bread. It's familiar, filling, feels obvious. Here's the honest problem with that instinct. Bread is fragile. It crumbles under pressure, goes stale within a day or two of being opened without refrigeration, and falls apart the moment you try to pack or carry it. In a real emergency, a loaf of bread has one of the shortest useful windows of almost anything in your kitchen. Tortillas are structurally the opposite. Flour tortillas, sealed at room temperature last weeks. They're durable enough to pack, compact enough to fit anywhere, and most importantly, they're the most versatile carrier for everything else in your stockpile. Wrap tuna in them. Spread peanut butter across them. Roll canned beans inside. Add some nuts for texture. A tortilla takes a collection of separate ingredients and turns them into something that functions as an actual, holdable meal. One you can eat standing up, during an evacuation, in a shelter, anywhere. No plate, no surface, no utensils required. Whole wheat varieties add fiber without changing any of that. Stock more than you think you need. You'll reach for them constantly. Far more than you're anticipating right now. Number 10. Canned soup. Here's something most people don't realize until they're already inside an emergency. A can of soup is a complete meal. Protein, vegetables, carbohydrates, and broth all in one container. Nothing to combine, nothing to prepare. Open it and you're done. But here's the part that catches people off guard the first time they hear it. Canned soup can be eaten cold, directly from the can. It's not a pleasant experience, but it is fully safe, completely nutritious, and requires nothing except a pull-tab lid. That last point matters more than it sounds. A can opener is a tool. Tools get separated from kits. They end up in different bags, different rows, the wrong drawer when you need them. Pull-tab lids remove that dependency entirely. Don't store anything that needs a separate opener. Make access unconditional, because in a real emergency, conditional access is the same as no access. There's one more thing about canned soup that most people overlook. The broth inside the can contributes meaningfully to your fluid intake, which becomes critically important when water access is restricted. That's not a minor comfort benefit. That's a survival consideration. We'll come back to water before this video ends, because the connection between what you eat and how much water you actually need is the thread most emergency plans never fully follow. Number 9. Canned fruit. Most people look at canned fruit and think, comfort item. Optional. Nice to have, but not essential. That's wrong. And the reason it's wrong is sitting right there inside the can. Canned fruit, peaches, pears, mandarin oranges, fruit cocktail, carries a significant volume of liquid alongside the solid food. In situations where water access is uncertain or restricted, that liquid isn't incidental. It's a real contribution to hydration in a context where every source of fluid genuinely matters. Beyond hydration, natural sugars for fast energy when you need it. Vitamin C to support immune function, which matters more under sustained stress than it does normally. A soft, easy-to-eat texture that works even when stress has reduced appetite, which is more common in prolonged emergencies than most people expect, and less often acknowledged. And then there's the dimension that preparedness guides almost never address. For children in a frightening situation, something sweet and familiar isn't a luxury. It's a stabilizer. It signals that someone has things under control. It makes the environment feel slightly less foreign. The caloric value is real. The hydration contribution is real. But in a household with young children, the psychological value of canned fruit may be the most important thing it brings to the table. Which of these 12 foods is already missing from your shelf? Drop it in the comments. It helps more people realize what they need. Number 8. Crackers. On their own, crackers look like the least interesting item on this list. That impression is almost entirely wrong. Crackers don't just add to a stockpile, they change what everything else in the stockpile can do. A pouch of tuna eaten straight with a spoon is survival. That same tuna spread across whole grain crackers is a meal. That distinction between surviving and actually eating carries more weight than it might seem when you're on day 3 of an emergency, and the mental weight of the situation is compounding. Meals that look and feel like real meals sustain morale in a way that raw rations simply can't. There's also a behavioral dimension that's easy to underestimate. Eating crackers one at a time, loading them individually, naturally slows the pace of a meal. Something that would take 2 minutes to consume otherwise stretches to 10. That matters for rationing over time. It also creates a brief, deliberate, calm activity in the middle of what may be an exhausting and disorienting day, and those small moments of calm are worth more than they sound. For children especially, having something familiar to hold and eat helps normalize an experience that feels anything but normal. Choose whole grain or high-fiber varieties where possible. Stock more than seems necessary. You won't regret having too many. Number 7. Instant oats. This is the item that almost gets left off the list entirely, because of one assumption so widely held that most people have never once questioned it. Almost everyone assumes oats require boiling water. It's treated as basic kitchen knowledge, and that assumption, left completely unchallenged, leads a significant number of people to exclude oats from their no-cook planning altogether. Here's what's actually true. Instant oats can be cold-soaked. You stir them into room-temperature water and leave them for 15 to 20 minutes. The result isn't impressive food, but it is completely edible, genuinely filling, and rich in dietary fiber that provides hours of stable energy rather than a short spike and crash. Now bring in what you already have from earlier in this list. A spoonful of peanut butter, a handful of nuts, some canned peaches stirred in. In under 2 minutes, with no heat and no equipment, you've assembled a legitimately balanced meal. Protein, healthy fats, complex carbohydrates, and natural sugar together in one bowl. That's not a workaround. That's a real meal built from real food. One misconception, left unchallenged, would have kept one of the most practical foods on this list off your shelf entirely. Don't let it. Number 6. Nuts. Nuts are the most undervalued item on this list, and the undervaluation comes down to one framing error. People think of them as a snack, not a meal component. That framing is wrong, and in an emergency situation, it costs you. A small handful of almonds, cashews, or mixed nuts delivers concentrated calories from healthy fats, moderate protein, and trace minerals, specifically magnesium and potassium. Those two minerals matter in ways most people have never thought about in an emergency context. Both physical stress and emotional stress accelerate mineral depletion through perspiration and elevated metabolic demand. When magnesium and potassium levels drop, nerve function and muscle function degrade in ways that are subtle at first, and then suddenly very hard to ignore. Nuts require no refrigeration, no preparation of any kind, and fit into any container, bag, or kit pocket. But their most important quality in a stockpile is what they do to everything around them. Mix them into cold-soaked oats, and you've added fat and protein to a carbohydrate base. Add them to a tortilla with peanut butter, and you've built a meal dense enough to carry you through hours of physical or mental effort. Eat them alongside canned fruit for a small but genuinely balanced snack. They make other foods more complete, more filling, and more calorie-dense without adding any complexity at all. Sealed packages maintain quality for a year or more at room temperature when kept away from heat. Stock multiple varieties where you can. Number 5. Protein bars. There's a specific situation this food is built for. Most people don't picture it clearly until they're actually living inside it. You're not at a table. There is no table. You're moving, evacuating, managing children through a crowded shelter, carrying bags, trying to keep everyone together and moving in the right direction. Sitting down to prepare anything or even to assemble a quick meal from the items on this list is simply not possible. Everything is in motion. That's exactly when a protein bar stops being a convenient snack and becomes a cognitive tool. A quality bar delivers 8 to 12 grams of protein and around 200 calories in something the size of your palm. It goes in a jacket pocket, a glove compartment, a child's backpack, the side pouch of any emergency kit. It requires nothing, no preparation, no utensils, no surface, no time. Here's the thing most people miss. The value of a protein bar in an emergency isn't primarily nutritional, it's operational. When blood sugar drops, decision-making degrades measurably, reaction time slows, attention narrows to a tunnel. In a situation that's already demanding everything you have mentally and physically, the fog that comes with low blood sugar isn't just uncomfortable, it can be genuinely dangerous to yourself and to the people depending on you. A protein bar doesn't solve that problem. It prevents it long enough to get through the moment that matters. Keep several in every kit you maintain, and include the one in your car. That's the kit most people completely forget about until they actually need it. Number 4. Jerky. Dried meat has been a preserved food staple across cultures for thousands of years. Not because of tradition, because of a specific set of physical properties that almost nothing else replicates. Nearly weightless, highly compact, dense, complete protein, stable at room temperature for months. The ratio of nutritional value to storage space is almost unmatched by anything else on this countdown. Beef, turkey, venison, the specific animal is secondary. The format is what matters. But there's a trade-off worth being honest about before you stock up, because it's significant enough to plan around. Jerky is salty by design. Salt is a core part of the preservation process. Without it, the food doesn't last. And in the quantities you'd realistically consume during an actual emergency, that sodium meaningfully accelerates thirst. If your water reserves aren't sized proportionally to the amount of jerky you're storing, you're quietly building a problem that compounds until it becomes urgent. Not immediately visible, but serious. This isn't a reason to skip jerky. It's a reason to plan water reserves alongside your jerky supply. Not after, not as an afterthought, but as part of the same calculation. We'll get to water properly before this video ends. It's the piece that ties this entire list together in a way most emergency food guides never fully address. If this has been useful so far, a quick like helps other people find it. Takes about a second. Number 3. Canned beans. This is the item that surprises people most, and the surprise almost always starts from the same assumption. Beans mean cooking. Long soaking times, an hour on the stovetop. That's just what beans require. Everyone knows that. Except that's not what canned beans are. Canned beans are fully cooked during the commercial canning process before they ever reach the shelf. You open the can and they're ready. Cold, straight from the container, with no preparation at all. No heat, no water, no equipment, nothing. And nutritionally, canned beans may be the single most complete food on this entire list. One serving delivers protein, complex carbohydrates, and substantial dietary fiber. All three, simultaneously. Most emergency foods cover one of those. Some cover two. Canned beans cover all three in one container. That fiber component deserves a specific mention. Stress, disrupted sleep, sudden changes in diet, and reduced physical activity all affect digestive function in significant ways. In a prolonged emergency situation, those disruptions compound quickly and become genuinely uncomfortable, and sometimes more serious than uncomfortable. Adequate fiber intake is one of the most effective and consistently overlooked ways to keep your body functioning normally when nothing else around you is. One firm rule: pull tab lids only. Can openers disappear in emergencies? They end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Design that dependency out of your stockpile entirely, because conditional access under pressure is functionally no access at all. Number 2. Seafood pouches. You've probably passed these in the grocery store dozens of times. Glanced at them and thought, lunchbox item, afterthought. Not really what I'm looking for. In an emergency context, there's something completely different. Tuna and salmon in flexible foil pouches deliver 16 to 20 grams of complete protein per serving, roughly equivalent to 3 large eggs, in a package that is flat, lightweight, and fits into any bag, kit, drawer, or pocket without taking up meaningful space. Here's the specific detail that separates a pouch from a can in an emergency context. A can requires an opener. An opener is a tool. Tools get separated from kits in the chaos of a real emergency, especially when children are involved, when things are being moved quickly, when everything is happening fast and at once. A foil pouch requires nothing. You tear it open with both hands in under 10 seconds anywhere. Access is unconditional. In an emergency, unconditional access is worth a significant premium. Salmon pouches in particular are worth the slightly higher price. Beyond the protein content, they're rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Research consistently connects adequate omega-3 intake to mood regulation and reduced anxiety response. And those are not minor benefits when your household is managing days of sustained psychological stress, disrupted sleep, and uncertainty about what comes next. Pair them with crackers. Roll them into a tortilla, eat them directly from the pouch. They work in any combination, require absolutely nothing to prepare, and hold their nutritional value for years when stored correctly. Number 1. Peanut butter. We're here. And if you've been paying attention, you may have already seen this coming. But here's the thing. Knowing it's number 1 and understanding why it's number 1 are two genuinely different things. Because peanut butter earns this position on two completely separate levels, and most people who have it in their stockpile only understand the first one. The first level is physical, and it's compelling on its own. 2 tablespoons deliver close to 200 calories, meaningful protein, healthy fats, and slow-digesting carbohydrates that provide hours of stable, sustained energy. Not a quick spike followed by a crash that leaves you depleted. A single standard jar can sustain an adult as a meaningful caloric source for multiple days. It needs no refrigeration, no utensils, no preparation, no heat, no running water, no tools of any kind. You can eat it directly from the jar if that's what the situation calls for. The barrier to access is 0, which by this point in the countdown, you understand is one of the most important qualities any emergency food can have. It combines naturally with nearly everything else on this list. Spread it on crackers, roll it into a tortilla with nuts, stir it into cold-soaked oats, add it alongside canned fruit. It adds protein, calories, and healthy fat to combinations that would otherwise be incomplete. Unopened, it holds for up to 2 years under proper storage. That's the physical level. Here's the second one. And this is the part most people who stock peanut butter have never thought about. Peanut butter is familiar. For most people, it's connected to the ordinary rhythm of normal life. Comfortable mornings, routine lunches, ordinary days when nothing was wrong. In a frightening, disorienting emergency, when almost everything around you feels unstable and foreign, that familiarity works as a genuine psychological anchor. It signals that something in the environment is still recognizable, still normal, still safe. That is not a soft or sentimental benefit. In sustained emergency conditions, psychological stability has direct, measurable effects on decision-making quality, household cooperation, and the capacity to keep functioning over time. Research on nutrition in prolonged stress environments consistently finds that psychological comfort from familiar foods is not a luxury. It's a functional resource. Food that stabilizes mood is a tool. And in a crisis, you need every tool you can have that doesn't require anything to activate. Plan for 3 to 4 jars per person in your household, not as a suggestion, as a baseline you build from. The system that makes all of this actually work. Having the right 12 foods is genuinely half the equation. The other half, the half most people skip, is making sure those foods are actually there, properly organized, and usable under real pressure when you need them. Here's where most stockpiles quietly fall apart without anyone realizing it. On storage, the primary enemy of shelf-stable food isn't time. It's heat. Elevated temperatures accelerate fat breakdown, degrade nutritional content, and compress practical shelf life long before any expiration date on the packaging reflects it. The right storage environment is cool, consistently dark, and dry. A basement is ideal. An interior closet works well. A dedicated cabinet away from exterior walls that heat up in summer is acceptable. Avoid garages and attics. Both routinely reach temperatures during summer months that silently degrade your stockpile while the packaging looks completely fine. By the time the food shows visible signs of degradation, the nutritional loss has already happened. One more thing on storage. Keep your emergency supplies physically separate from your everyday groceries. When the two are mixed together, the emergency supply gets casually used and inconsistently replaced. And slowly, without anyone making a conscious decision to do it, the stockpile disappears. Dedicate a specific shelf, a labeled bin, or a separate cabinet exclusively to emergency food. That label isn't just organizational. It tells everyone in the household that this supply is intentional and protected, not available for a Tuesday night snack or a quick grab when you're short on something. On rotation. The principle is simple enough to remember in one sentence. First in, first out. New stock goes to the back. Older items come forward. As foods approach their expiration window, move them into your regular household meals and replace them with fresh supply. Done consistently, your stockpile stays full, stays current, and never costs you money to food that expires unused. Set one annual calendar reminder. Tie it to something you already remember. The new year? A seasonal change, anything reliable. To go through everything, check dates, and replace anything expiring within the next few months. Degradation happens invisibly. You have to check proactively, not reactively. On meals, 12 ingredients is not a plan. A plan is knowing how they combine before you're in the situation where you have to figure it out under stress. Think about your stockpile in terms of combinations rather than individual items. Tuna on crackers, peanut butter and nuts inside a tortilla, canned beans rolled into a tortilla with canned fruit on the side, cold-soaked oats with peanut butter, nuts, and peaches, canned soup alongside crackers to make it more filling and extend it further. None of these combinations take more than 30 seconds to put together. None require equipment, but each one creates something that looks and feels like an actual meal, not survival rations. That distinction matters more than most people anticipate. Research on nutrition in extended emergency eating situations consistently finds that it isn't caloric restriction that causes people to stop eating what they have. It's sameness. The repetition becomes psychologically unbearable before the food actually runs out. Rotating combinations across days, even using the same core ingredients, is the direct solution. It costs nothing. It requires no additional purchases. It's purely a matter of deciding in advance, not improvising in the moment. One final note on this section. Don't overlook small comfort items when you're building out your stockpile. A bag of hard candy, a few squares of dark chocolate, a small container of instant coffee or tea bags. Negligible space, negligible cost, shelf life measured in years. Their caloric value is minimal. Their psychological value across 3, 5, or 7 days of disrupted, stressful circumstances is disproportionate to every one of those factors. For children especially, one small predictable treat per day does more to normalize a frightening experience than almost anything else you can provide. The water problem and why it changes everything. Here's the one thread running through this entire list that most people never follow all the way to its conclusion. Every food on this countdown increases your body's demand for water to some degree. The high-sodium items, jerky and canned soup especially, accelerate that demand considerably. And canned fruit and canned soup do supplement your fluid intake, but they are not substitutes for stored water. Not even close. Here's the way to think about it simply. Food keeps you functional. Water keeps you alive. The priority order matters. The minimum guideline from emergency management organizations is 1 gallon of water per person per day. That is the floor, the absolute minimum, not a comfortable target. 2 weeks of water per household member is a significantly safer position, and it's what experienced preppers and emergency response professionals consistently recommend. If you're storing jerky, canned soup, or any other high-sodium food, size your water reserve to match what you're eating, not just what feels like enough. Build your water reserve with the same deliberateness and seriousness you bring to your food supply, because the most carefully assembled stockpile of the right 12 foods will only carry you so far without adequate water behind it. Why this is actually worth doing. There's one dimension to genuine preparedness that almost no one addresses directly, and it might be the most practically valuable thing in this entire video. There is a specific kind of mental clarity that comes from knowing, before anything goes wrong, that you have already taken care of this. Not the vague, passive comfort of assuming things will probably be fine. Not the false security of a full pantry that depends on a working kitchen. The specific earned clarity of having made real decisions, taken deliberate action, and built something that will hold up when normal life stops working. People who operate from that position make better decisions under pressure. Real emergencies are partly a decision-making problem, and people who aren't spending mental energy worrying about how to feed their family have more of that capacity available for everything else that needs it. The father at the beginning of this video had a full pantry. What he didn't have was the right food in a form that worked without a functioning kitchen. That gap between having supplies and having the right supplies is exactly what this countdown was built to close. You don't need specialty gear. You don't need survival branding, or a dedicated storage system, or a large upfront investment. Almost everything on this list is in your regular grocery store, most of it for less than the cost of a single meal out. The investment here isn't financial. It's intentional. It's deciding, today, not eventually, that you're going to be the person in your household who made sure your family could eat regardless of what tomorrow brings. Start with what you can get this week. Add to it consistently. Rotate it diligently. And don't let the perfect version of this plan delay the functional version, because emergencies don't wait for convenient timing. But preparation doesn't have to be perfect to protect the people who matter most to you. Every jar of peanut butter, every foil pouch, every pull tab can you put on that shelf today is one fewer problem standing between your family and a situation you never want to face unprepared. The pantry you build before anything happens is the security you'll be grateful for the moment something does. Don't wait. What's the one thing from this list you're adding to your stockpile first? Let me know below. I read every one.